Welcome to the live stream. Kind of late today, but we'll still try to get through it. Amy Seukeran, Narcissistic Abuse Recovery Life Coach, Canada. Why victims of narcissistic abuse self-isolate. Why they isolate themselves from people. I have a lot to cover. We have the smear campaign, actual abuse, verbal, emotional, psychological abuse, attacking victims, groups of flying monkeys. Do you know what flying monkeys are? When the narcissist gets people to do the dirty work for them and attack you for them so they can keep their hands clean, so nobody knows it's them doing it. We can go over financial abuse. They want to stop you from working, getting an education, moving ahead in life, getting away from them. Do you remember all that financial abuse? They want control of all the money. We can go over the long-term effects. What happens long-term living with a narcissist? You have mental health issues. What happens to you when they gaslight you? How do you react when they gaslight you? What do you do? Have you ever had the police called on you by a narcissist? Have you ever had a narcissist lie about you? What did you do when they lied about you? If you're a victim of a narcissist who has control of all the money and all the finances, how do you think you're going to go to court, go to get a lawyer, get legal aid, get anything if your narcissist calls the police on you? Let's assume it's your narcissist and you know who it is. If you're a victim, you have no money. That's why victims are trapped when they're married, right? Where are they going to get the money? Where are they going to get help? How are they going to get a divorce? You want to tell people the word life coach. What are you telling them? You're sitting here sucking people's life. You can't be life coaches. You're taking from people every turn, every minute you can. You're taking and sucking people's life. You can't be saying the word life coach. Well, let's go over. In the building I live in, I'm in 47. So like 1 to 7, unit 1 to 7 under my window. Do you remember the windows where you are, where you live? Yeah? Do you remember where you are now? 1 to 7 under me, right? From the corner, right across. They still 3 times they've called the police on me. They You want free recovery now? I have actually go where when I need to smoke while they're still inside the building in the entrance. There's a rent increase, right? Coming up. You think I'm actually going to stay here? Pay $1,800 to live like this? For what? A year? Much more the rest of my life? On top of that, you're making fun of people, calling them what? Poor and homeless? What's the difference? You're the ones using the food bank. I am going to separate you one by one. You had the nerve to text my phone and called me what? An impoverished piglet? You think Malton isn't going to pay for that? Every single one of you on Ontario Works, every single one of you on ODSP, every single one of you going to the food bank, every single one of you that get childcare benefits, I'm going to make you pay for that comment. 6 years since I opened this business in Malton. Every one of you that can't cook. I was mean and nasty before. Every single one of you with your kids that I see in McDonald's, I'm going to judge you now. Every one of you. There are news articles everywhere. You have food insecurity, full-time employed, need to go to the food bank. You're sitting here calling me what? You don't have to live in this building. You live in Malton. 6 years you sat here doing nothing except complaining the government has to pay for you. While I was in a homeless shelter and on the street. I have no reason to feel bad for anybody anymore. Since I came to Malton, I opened my own business, my nonprofit organization. I had a narcissistic abuse recovery life coach business that you destroyed. Took whatever you wanted, sold it however you wanted. Destroyed my name, called me what? Texted my business phone for months over nothing. The apartment building I live in, an actual apartment building, 4 buildings. That's like half of Malton, right? People who have apartments of their own. Why shouldn't I destroy anybody who rents in Malton if I'm an impoverished piglet? Tell me why. All the renters, every single one. Why shouldn't I destroy them? You were teaching inclusion to Malton, right? How many racist comments did you send to me? Show me again in what world I shouldn't do it back. You're sitting here telling people you're getting revenge? Sitting here telling people I'm recording and watching your children when I was the one who got attacked by men in this building? Where is the line? That's a good question. Where is the line? How do I protect myself now? Why victims self-isolate? Let's go over what you did to my life and my name. Why would I talk to any of you if I was a single female? Much more for if I had my business and I want to keep running it. My Facebook is suspended. You go onto my accounts leaving comments, trying to get them banned and suspended. You are real people. At least I think you should be, right? Where are the real consequences? Why didn't you lose your jobs? How are you working around people? How do you live in apartments? How do your neighbors not complain and want to destroy you? How do you get away drinking alcohol and being intoxicated? How is that the priority? How are they winning? How are addicts winning? How are they getting away doing whatever they want, taking over people's, telling people they have a lease in whatever apartment they want? How are people doing this in Malton and getting away? You have to be letting them. How do people call on other people, the police, falsely? When did that become normal to you? How ridiculous is that you let people get away with that, but you don't want them to call? The same day there was the stabbing up on Gorway, and I walked by. I heard the guy telling the other one, "You don't know why they called the police." Do you know how ridiculous that is? You called on me for what? Yeah, I want you to check that news story again. I had to walk by because I had to go to the gas station to go get a pack of smokes. You are gonna, when we're done this live stream, you're gonna remember everything. You explain to me why you big grown men are telling each other don't call the police, but you're calling on women for nothing. I have narcotics in my unit. Yes, you are gonna explain this again. I was in the shower when 2 officers banged on my door. That's 2. That's the second call. The third one, I'm watching your children. I'm gonna what? Do what to you? I'm not laughing at any of this. Do you know what I went through with that officer, the female? I deserve to be treated like that while you're here doing what? What are the consequences if you break the rules of the lease here at 7555 Gorway Drive? Are there rules? I contacted the management to find out about working from home, making money. People are in the building smoking. I don't understand this. No, I don't. I asked about other buildings right in Malton. There are 200 and how many in these 4 buildings, units, apartments? Ridiculous? In your life you've heard of this? How many other apartments are in Malton? How many other apartment buildings are in Malton, all of it? If I have to go rent somewhere else. Because of you guys. I'm supposed to move to Brampton because of you guys in your mouth? Why? They who? I'm here again. Are there any people in this building that sublet or rent? You understand an apartment building, people have their own apartments, right? Their own townhouses. We went over that. There's no difference. The townhouses think they're special, but they're the exact same. They're just 2 and 3 bedrooms. The apartments are just one bedroom and bachelors. Why victims self-isolate? If you're surrounded by people that lie, that you can't trust, why? Why would you involve yourself in any of their lives? Why would you ever talk to any of them? All they do is destroy and cause problems. Why would you do that? Why would you ever? A sense? We're going to be in November soon. I moved into the building in 2024 February. February coming up is going to be, yeah, January 31st. Is going to be 2 years. The mortgage agent course, I have to go and renew now, pay money to renew. Why? You tell me why. Well, 200 people, right? 200 units. So how come the rest of them aren't impoverished piglets? I want to know, face one by one. I want to hear what the difference is. Everyone, every unit, everyone in a bachelor first, just the same as mine. I want to hear why. Let's go over. If you go to the food bank, why do you go to the food bank? If you're in a rental, what do you rent? A room or a house? How do you pay for your rental? And how much is your rental? And when you buy groceries, how much do you pay for your groceries? Do you buy groceries every week or every month? How much are your groceries? Do you pay water and electric, phone bill, cable, internet? How much are they? Do you buy clothes? Do you buy makeup, shampoo, soap? How much are they? Do you get them from the food bank so you don't have to worry? All of those things? Must be a real easy life, right? If you go to the food bank and get all of those things, not have to, count your pennies to buy them yourself. Well, let's go over food options since you were leaving comments about me eating pork. Is there a reason? You have an opinion on that? Anybody? We went over, right? Bacon and sausages, ham, ribs, pork chops, they're all pork, right? Pork loin, that's all pork. You were actually calling religion in Malton, right? You have a Muslim council. You are going to explain this to everybody. You're going to tell me where you think this is ever normal. How long you've been doing this? To who? You have the nerve to say it's not violence against women minimum? It's not harassment? It's not intimidation and threats? You just accuse somebody falsely of recording your children, watching your children. You're sending me messages to my phone, my personal phone, my business phone, telling me about what? Your children? I sit on the bench to smoke because you got me blocked from sitting on the rock. And now when I'm sitting on the bench, you're what? I'm watching your what? School buses. There are schools around every corner of Malton. When I find you, who it is, you think I'm not going to find out who it is? I want to hear, Malton, where you think this is a joke, what you think reality is here. I want to know who makes calls to the police for nothing, why they're getting away, how many of you do this, and how long, why you're getting away. When something actually happens, you don't want to call because you're big grown men? Tomorrow's Friday and Halloween. What's going to happen? What's going to win? The kids or the weekend fun? The alcohol? The kids can only trick or treat till 4 or 5, and then they have to go inside? What's going to happen? Let's go over. Ontario Works is 733. What you get on Ontario Works, right? If you get for shelter, for rent, you get 390. What you get for yourself is basic needs is 343. So if you just get basic needs, you get 343 a month. Now ODSP, disability, is 1408 a month. Childcare benefit now. If you have children and you get the childcare benefit, under 6, you get 666.41 a month. If they're 6 to 17 years old, you get 562.33 a month for the child, right? Now, what are you teaching those children when they get that money as the parents? If which one? You're on Ontario Works, you're working full time, which one? You're on ODSP? Yeah, tell us. What do you use the money for your kids? What do you pay for? Their groceries, their clothing? Do you give the money to the kids or do you take care of it? Well, if you're using the food bank, right? They said children are using it too, so I want to understand this. Yeah, I did the fundraiser, remember, for Mississauga Food Banks and the breakfast program for kids? Well, why is there the breakfast program? To feed breakfast to them. If the childcare benefits are covering the children and the parents are working, I'm not understanding why you're going to the food bank and then sitting here calling me an impoverished piglet. You've been causing violence and destruction for years. I want to understand why I shouldn't do the same. Dog eat dog, right? Is that what you're turning into? You're getting revenge on me for what? Well, let's go back to flying monkeys. How many of you texted me, or how many times, with different posters and messages about the community center now? And can you explain why you did that and what that's supposed to be if I have a legitimate business? There are people from when I worked in the mall talking about me. They still work in the stores in the mall. They still work around. They're still gossiping behind my back. Tell me where. You can do it, but I have to sit quietly? Show me again. Is it sad to say you're employees, right? If the store shut down, there is no more Malton. There is nothing left. You're sitting here gossiping about people what? Doing things to their food when they go where? And then you're laughing at what? You can't find jobs? Where do you think you're going to get jobs? They had a self-checkout. Remember that in the dollar store? Why do you think they had that? Because people didn't want to deal with the cashiers? So why did they take them out? Why are they gone? People couldn't use them? They were misusing them? Which one? When they wanted the robots to get the robots to work in the grocery stores. How many jobs do you think they would have replaced? All yours, right? You understand this when they wanted the robots? Let's take Freshco as an example. If you can buy a robot once, the robot does all the work in the store. Why would Freshco need employees? Yeah, this was a couple years ago. Why would they ever need employees? They have to pay employees every week for years. You can buy a robot once that does everything automatically. Why would they ever have employees? On top of that, employees don't get mad and they don't scream and they don't ask for a raise. So why didn't people do that? Because you would have been more homeless and never had a house? Where would you have got a job then? Oh, let's pretend it happens now. All the stores get robots so they don't have to have employees. So you just go in nice and easy, everything's automatic. Where are you going to work? Where are you going to get jobs? That's all retail, right? Well, let's hope they don't do it in restaurants, but let's pretend it's just retail. So all the retail jobs, where are all those people going to get jobs now? How are they going to keep their house, pay for their house? All the people going to school now, getting an education and a degree. What are they getting it to work where? What kinds of fields that make money, that you actually make money? A job that pays right, a full-time job that pays a full-time salary, an 8-hour job. Well, minimum wage went up, right, to 17, what, 60? Is that it? 17.20? What was it? 17 something? So that's minimum wage, right? How many of you how many of you work night shifts? So if you work a night shift, how do you get groceries and food? When do you buy it? How many of you work a 12-hour shift? So when do you buy your groceries and food? If you sleep too and do a 12-hour shift. Do you cook? You just eat fast food? What if you stay in a homeless shelter? You just eat everything they give you? Do you complain about it? Same thing with a drop-in center. Do you ever go to a drop-in center or anywhere that gives you meals if you're homeless? Have you ever complained about it? Did you ever think about what it costs to make it? If you look at the food, what it is? Well, I'm pretty sure at Cawthra Shelter I had a pork chop, right? That was similar to the ones I bought today that you were complaining about. The package of pork chops, the $3 pork chops. I'm pretty sure, right? I had that at the shelter. That same exact pork chop. So I'm just comparing, then and now. Now, how do food banks and the homeless shelter and the drop-in centers get their food? They can separate them later. How does the homeless shelter get their food? How do all those drop-in centers get their food, the meals? Does somebody cook them for free and bring them? Do they have a kitchen? Somebody cooks them in the kitchen? Somebody donates them? Somebody cooks it in their house and just brings it there? The point is why there's still food insecurity and full-time employed people going to the food bank while you're sitting here calling people poor and impoverished in the same community. It doesn't make sense, does it? You have competition over what? Do you remember a long time ago when I went over all the housing and all the food banks? There was more than enough to go around, all the grants for housing. If people didn't take advantage and fraud and use it to their advantage, there was more than enough. Do you remember how many times? 40 million, 50 million, 90 million, million here. So now, why are you laughing? You're trying to sell me the story that in 6 years, the whole of COVID, as grown adults and families, you didn't learn how to budget and save, and you still need a food bank. You can't take the bus and get rid of your car. You'd rather go to the food bank? You can't downsize your family, move into an apartment, move into a smaller house. You think the food bank is the solution? The food banks keep telling you they can't sustain it. They can't get the food. Where are they going to get the food from? They can't keep feeding Canada forever. And you keep ignoring it. So if everybody who's working full time went to the food bank because you can, everybody who's a newcomer, everybody who's on ODSP, everybody who's on Ontario Works, and everybody who was homeless went to the food bank. All the kids went to the food bank. What would happen? Well, it's like if everybody all of a sudden wanted a housing subsidy, right, for a free house. According to you guys, right? It's free housing. I don't pay for rent. So let's pretend everybody. Is that what you did after COVID? Everybody just wanted a free house. They didn't want to pay anymore. Why should I if you don't? It's okay. If everybody wanted free food and free housing, what's left now? How? What government? Who's paying for this? Where do you think? Which government? Where do you think this money comes from? All of them. Go through all of them. Ontario Works, ODSP, childcare benefit, the food bank. Okay, what happens? What do you think happens when you get arrested and go to jail? How do you think you get out? You have to have money, you have to pay bail. What do you think happens if you don't have money? How do you think it helps anybody telling them about a lawyer if you have no money? What do you think that does to someone? You don't think that makes them want to get revenge? I want to understand what you believe when you do things like that. Let's go over calling people crazy. How many of you have called somebody crazy? Because of what? Okay, how many of you have seen violence? Somebody commit an act of violence. Were they crazy? What about cars and a car accident? Have you ever been in a car accident or seen a car accident? What about people that speed? Do you think they're crazy? That drive and speed. Do you think they're crazy for speeding? What about people who break rules, who can't understand rules and just break them and do what they want? Do you think they're crazy? You think there's something wrong with them? That's why they can't understand rules and break them? What about physical violence when somebody hits another person? Do you think that's crazy? To hit somebody else? Do you think there's always a reason if somebody hits another person? How come that's not crazy? What about insulting somebody? A stranger or somebody you know, insulting them and putting them down? You think that's normal? You don't think that's crazy? Going around lying about people, you think that's normal? Just making up stories? Destroying people's life, you think that's not crazy? That's normal? Complete strangers you don't know, just destroying their lives, doing whatever you want because you want to do it. My safety. I told you. I don't know what reality you live in here, but you're about to learn. You are the ones with the real children, right? I have my business to worry about. This is actual court now, actual police. How many involved? How many did you involve since I've been here? You called 6, 7, 8. How many? You what? You don't walk around Malton? They're different ones in the cars when you see them driving around? I want to know what you understand here in Malton. Do you understand there's a station at the mall, right? The Tim Hortons is right there where you guys go. The mall where you stand outside the entrance and smoke. I don't understand. Where are the rules? Why do they have signs up? You do what you want, but you complain about other people and sit there punishing them and getting revenge. No, I don't understand this. Let's go over all the fighting, all the death over the 6 years. What was it over? Sure, in Malton. All the riots. Remember all those riots? All the mental health, all the children that were in trouble. Remember they were threatening that same Lincoln, right? Do you remember it was like a 14-year-old and a 13-year-old, was it? Girl and a boy. So why were they threatening the school again? I forgot. Well, it was like 6 schools, right? Lincoln was here because I was in Cawthorth. That's what I remember because it was Malton. So why were they doing that again? The two children? Now I live here. I'm not in Cawthorth Shelter. That's the difference. I was watching it on CP24 that morning, that night. Do you know what time that was? 5 o'clock in the morning when I woke up? Hearing? Why didn't you go and check the dates after? I want to know what's going to happen in Malton on Halloween. Do kids trick or treat? Did they just go to houses or did they go to apartment buildings? Do they wear costumes in Malton, the kids? Where do you usually take them trick or treating? No, I don't have candy to hand out. I live in an apartment, remember? Last year I handed out those bags. I walked around Malton handing out the loot bags with stickers, pencils, not candy. It's almost Halloween. Where's your horns? I told you. If you get my horns, why are you complaining? Yeah, Malton's gonna come take a good look at the buildings here in the apartments, just in case, right? They know somebody that's homeless that wants to rent. How many units again? 200 and what? The school is teaching, right? To start businesses. Where are all those children going to start businesses? Where are all those teenagers starting businesses? That was the high school curriculum, right? To start businesses. So where are they going to open these businesses? Where are they going to get the money? Might as well go over it. Where are they going to get the money? They're going to get a job to save up to start a business. What are you setting them up for in Malton? Are they going to go to college, or are they just going to start a business? Well, the way you keep selling people, I don't know. So what did you tell them? They could just start a business and make tons of money? So what were you promoting? Don't go to college and university? Don't get a job? Don't save? You're teaching finances, right? Budgeting, credit, saving. So you're telling them to go to college and apply for credit. Is that smart? Is telling a college student to get into debt, get a credit card smart? I didn't think so, but why I should stay quiet now? I have no idea. If these are the same people and teenagers and children talking to me, sending messages like this to me, the grown-ups, I have no idea. Every time Malton looks around and they see me, they're going to remember what they are. Why the community will never go forward and thrive. One grocery store, you have one drugstore and one dollar store. You have fast food restaurants that people don't want to go to because what? They don't trust the food? They don't want to go to the grocery store and the dollar run because they know the people and the people gossip? So what do you think the future is going to be of the community? You wanted to be social, and then what? You're complaining about depression, loneliness during COVID. Then what happened? When they let you back out, you did what? Should I take a survey of the building first? How many people are on ODSP here in the building? And Ontario Works? How many people don't work here in building 1? Imagine almost an hour. How much do you make at work an hour for an hour of work? I'm going to just open my curtains and look out my window at the hardworking people all day. You forgot I can see you all day? To open a business and have a successful business, you have to have a passion, right? And want to do it. You took that, Malton. I don't ever want to open a business here because I know it would never succeed. I wouldn't pay rent in the mall because it would never be worth it. You are the same people who would have to come and buy, right? That's the way it works. You have generational wealth. You would never be able to afford rent in the mall. I don't have a job either because I own multiple farms in Trinidad. I have generational wealth which I use to donate to save food banks and sick kids. So you don't have any of your own money. It's all your parents' money, generational wealth. You know what you can kiss, right? You have generational wealth. That means it's your parents and your grandparents' money. You didn't earn it. Multiple farms. You started the farms? Hmm? Go ahead, I didn't hear you. You started the farms? You own multiple farms. You started them all? Wow, 5 minutes. Any questions? Well, Trinidad is lucky, right? They don't have winter, so they can grow whatever they want, right? They have that luxury. They don't have winter. Maybe you could explain that to them. Well, that would explain, right? They can afford vegetables and fruits because they can grow them. So, you want fair, right? Compare fairly. What animals do they have there? Are they going to go over seafood in Trinidad? All the meat, what they actually have to buy. Milk and cheese. Do you use milk and cheese and eggs in Trinidad? Well, let's go over in Canada. What foods are imported here? That's why you pay more, right? Because they have to import them. They have to send them over to Canada. Do you remember COVID? Nobody grew vegetables. Nobody grew cows because everybody was locked inside. So that's why the prices went up because nobody was growing them. So where did you get all the hamburger from if nobody was growing cows? How long does it take for a cow to grow? Oh, well. I hope you learned something. Enjoyed the live stream today. Lucky you got done, right? Enjoy your night, everyone. Amy Seukeran, Narcissistic Abuse Recovery Life Coach, Canada. Oh, I have to wait for the hour. Yeah, I'm trying to cut you guys off. Nobody grew cows? How do you think you get cows? How do you think you get steak? They come grown to your grocery store? How do you think you get steaks then if you don't grow cows? Enjoy your night, everybody.